You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Riley's in the shotgun, looking downfield, and then throws. It is up in the air to the goal line. Bounces. What a catch! What a catch by Duke Williams! Touchdown, Eskimos! Bryant Mitchell! It's going to be intercepted. Arjun Colhoun.
Mike appears to be a CFL encyclopedia.
Welcome back to the Turf District. It's another episode brought to you by United Construction Company. Check out all the great builds they do at unitedconstruction.ca and check out all of our links and social at eskempire.ca. I'm your host, Andrew, and in the co-pilot chair tonight is the one and only superfan, Mike.
How's it going, eh?
It's going very good. And as a surprise guest this week, all the way over from Greece, it is the one and only Commissioner K. How you doing?
Hello. I don't know how to say hi in Greek, otherwise I would have.
That's okay.
You could have made it up.
No, I totally do. Kalimera. That's good morning.
Wow, very nice. Very nice.
So cosmopolitan.
This is so awesome that you're up way early in the morning to chat with your brothers about some football. We definitely miss having our sister in the Turf District. So tell us about your adventures so far. What's going on all the way over there?
Well, it's been getting better. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did you watch Oh, you did watch the game. That explains.
I did watch the game. Yeah.
Okay. But tell us about your adventures, though.
Well, I started off in England, which was obviously rainy. It's always raining in England.
Yes.
And it was pretty fun. Super busy, lots of people.
Yeah.
But that's to be expected in a huge city as London. And then we flew over to Romania for 6 days, and it was about 4 days too long.
Oh, is that right? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw you were posting that it was just you had a bunch of some not great interactions with some people there.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It's one of those things that I'm not going to bash Romania because I obviously don't have enough experience to really make a strong judgment, but it's not somewhere I'd probably go back anytime soon.
Oh, wow.
At least they weren't Calgary fans, but I mean, come on.
I think I'd take them. At least they're interactive.
That's true. They are.
But would you take Rider fans?
And where would you take them?
No.
See, now, where would you take
far away.
Far away? Yeah.
Well, except for a few of them.
I'll drop them off in Romania.
Perfect.
There you go.
What did Romania do to you? My goodness, that's cruel.
And so now you're in Greece.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And we've only been here for less than 24 hours, and we're 10 times happier.
Wow, that's awesome. And then now, how long are you there? And then I think you go to Italy, right?
Yeah, we leave on Friday actually to Italy.
That's a nice little stay.
That's a great stay. Yeah, absolutely. So, this is great. This is great. I mean, if it was just Mike and I, we'd be talking about have you seen any movies, or how about those tailgate pizzas?
Oh, they were good.
They were actually pretty good.
You missed them. See, next year we're going to do more of those tailgate pizzas so you can experience them. They were tasty.
Yeah, and that was the easiest tailgate because we could actually make them and visit at the same time, and they were great. So you
Did you just throw them on the barbecue?
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, you just throw them on a pan in the barbecue, and they cooked up awesome, and they were real crunchy on the bottom, so it was great. Now I'm mouth-watering.
That sounds good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're talking about pizza to someone who's going to Italy.
Yeah, that's right.
So, they might be okay there, but there are no tailgate pizzas.
That's very true. It's very true. I don't know if we have enough gin on hand to have this conversation that we have to have this show, but we will. Before we start in that, though, I do want to mention it is that time again. The CFL Twitter Awards are being all the nominations
Who
are
won
going
last
in
year?
now. Let's see. I believe it was a podcast that's won 2 years in a row.
Two.
Yeah, back-to-back champions. And they had really nice colors.
They sure do.
Definitely the right shade of green. That's right. Well, if it wasn't for the fact that we had Commissioner K, I don't know if we got twice.
No, probably not.
We sure did. And the poll champion got us through.
It's true.
So if you want to nominate, you can go on, you tag CFLT Awards, hashtag favorite FAV podcast, ACCT, I think.
Right.
So favorite podcast account, and then tag us, and you can say why if you want, and we'll see how that goes. Because, of course, yeah. And but put that in there, and it's always fun. I think it's always a fun little race.
Sure.
I'd like to see some of our forefathers get in there this year with Rouge Radio.
Forefathers?
Yeah, well, really.
Makes them sound old, the Podfather.
The Podfather.
And Ryan.
And Ryan, exactly. Because, he's old, too. Anyway, go on.
He wasn't voted in?
They weren't. No. They haven't been before. So
2-0 won the first year, and then we've won back-to-back.
We've won back-to-back. So we're going to see how this goes this year. We'll see if we get nominated again. Let's go with that.
Maybe I'll only semi-try.
That's right.
Even at semi-try, I tell you.
It's true.
You're the poll queen. We know how that works.
I can only do...
Rider fans a thing or two.
Yeah, exactly. I can only do like 90%. That's the least I can do.
Okay, well, that's all right. That's why we love you. Yeah, that's perfect. Before we talk about the game, let's talk about some Esks news, because there's a pretty big one in the About Damn Time category. Corey McDermott fired as the special teams coordinator, and Dave Jackson, who was the assistant, is going to take on his duties. What do you think about that, Superfan?
Well, like you say, it's about time. I wish they would have done it in the off-season. I said on the Periscope, and you and I have talked about it, I was hoping last off-season that they'd pick up Jeff Reinbold, who I think is a brilliant special teams mind. He ended up getting signed, so he's not available now, and now we're stuck with... Well, I shouldn't say stuck with. Now we've got a guy that was the assistant to Corey McDermott. I'm hoping he has new ideas, and he's not just repeating the same ideas. It's tough when you're mid-season replacement, right? So
and late season.
Exactly. I mean, and Jackson's been around. It's not just with Edmondson as just the pickup. He's been around since 2013, 2014, right. Some of the things. So he's been around. He's seen some stuff. At this point, you've got the job. You're not going to get replaced. So why don't you try some new things and maybe try and break one?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe teach them how to block.
What? Blocking?
Maybe teach them how not to hold.
That would be nice as well. That'd be nice as well. Commissioner K, you're hearing this news overseas. Did it catch you off guard, or?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I was expecting some cleaning house after that game.
Yeah, no kidding. All right.
Yeah, well, we lost 30-3. It was definitely special teams' fault.
Absolutely, totally.
Well, that's
that's where the issue comes in. But they had to do something. Let's talk about some positive stuff with the Eskimos as far as news is concerned. Just news side, not good. Game side, news side. Read-in week is this week, so they're doing. They're visiting a ton of schools. I always love seeing that especially when you got these new guys in there reading to the kids and the cheer team and all those things. It's just a real full effort from the Eskimos, so I really do like to see that happening. Ryan King played his 100th game as an Eskimo, which was congratulations to him, of course, friend of the show, and Snapping wins championships, all those things. And our practice roster gets a bit bigger as we welcome back Brandon Thompson.
Yay!
Oh, that's a happy day.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter Berryman, Torrance Gibson is back, and then we added in defensive back Justin Gibbons and linebacker Tank Reed, which was kind of cool. That was a bigger name. I was a little surprised to see there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he had time in Ottawa, so we had to expect he'd eventually show up here.
That's a good point.
People always complain about, we're just getting Ottawa stuff, but this is where he got his start, really, as an assistant GM. So these are the guys he's already scouted. He liked him then. Why wouldn't he like him now? So not too much of a surprise, but like you say, a bigger name, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do. One thing we didn't talk about for happy news along the lines of Ryan King is J.C. Sherritt got his 500th tackle as an Eskimo.
Oh, well. That's very true. Yes, he sure did.
Which is a big milestone for any defensive player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he just mans the middle of that field, right? So
Yeah.
that's where we want him to be. But I know, Kayla, you were a big fan of Brandon Thompson last year, so I'm assuming that you're pretty excited that he's at least back on the roster.
I was so excited. I was really let down that he wasn't on the active roster. Well, that they didn't actually put him on the roster. But I understand he was injured, so I get it. But at the same time, you know me, I like my guys, and it's not just always about football.
Well, that just means I see a future guest.
Oh, yes, please.
That'd be amazing.
Okay, I was waiting for that answer. Perfect.
We'll have Brandon, Mike Moore, and Batman on at the same time.
Exactly. And Kayla will just
I will be.
corner and shriek.
I wouldn't stop squeeing. Like it would just be like an infinite squee for the whole program in the background. You just hear this.
Dogs barking in the background.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. All right, let's talk about our game. I mean, now we can put about as much effort into it as the team did this week. So let's go to the history segment. I mean, okay. We'll talk about it a little bit. 30-3 embarrassment on the field on Saturday. Let's see. Did we find any good in this game, Kayla? Did you? I know you actually double dipped because you're a season ticket holder, but you weren't in the game, and then you paid for the stream to watch it over there.
Sure did.
Sorry about that. Did you find anything good in the game at all?
Well, obviously, like, the defense did most of their part. Like, you can only do so much. How many touchdowns were scored on the turnovers? Like,
all of them.
20 points?
Oh, yeah, all three touchdowns were on a turnover of some kind. Yeah, one was a pick six, and then the other two, we turned it over on our side of the field. So
yeah.
27 of the 30 points were on turnovers.
Yeah, that's the stat that I was looking for. Thank you. But I honestly, like, zoned out.
So did the team.
Yes. We have that in common.
Yeah.
That's really... You really just wanted to feel like you were part of the team, and you found a way. That's good. Yeah.
Well, I was actually, like, because it was 2 in the morning, just after 2 in the morning when the game started. So I was listening to it on 6:30 Chat at first, and I was like, because I bought the game, and I'm like, I'll just watch it in the morning. But of course, I'm like, no, I have to listen. So I fell asleep listening to it. Or, mind you, I should say, I listened to the first quarter, and I'm like, no, I want this to end in a good note, so I'm just going to leave it here and then wake up to a win. Boy, was I shocked.
Oh my, that is not...
Yeah, unfortunately, the team didn't wake up to a win either.
No, they didn't. They didn't wake up for the game either.
No,
as it turns out. Well, half anyway. Mike, did you find a good in there anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, Jake Serezna, I thought, had a good game. He had a tackle for a loss, a sack, 5 tackles. I mean, that's a pretty solid game. Any game. But a
not
game
nearly
where you're
enough flossing from him.
Yeah, there's never enough flossing.
He really should have more. But
Jake. But anytime, I mean, I think the defense did a pretty solid game, but once again let down by the offense. And for a team that we expected to be an offensive juggernaut this season, especially how they finished last year and how they started this year, it's just faded away. So I don't know what it's going to take besides a time machine to get that sort of offense back. But they better figure it out in a hurry, or this season is going to be over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My good for this game is that there was $2 hot dogs. They were great.
Oh, nice.
$2 hot dogs?
I was full from mini pizzas.
Come on. I still had it. $2. Give me a hot dog. That was
I think
wonderful.
Sean White did all right for the one kick he had.
Well, yeah. We got our money's worth with him that game. He was out and kicked the one time that we crossed the 40-yard line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
The one thing that was crazy is this is the first game I can even think of where the home team didn't kick off once. We didn't kick off for either half, and obviously we didn't score. So
unreal.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, it's just as well because Hugh O'Neill must have been pretty tired from all those punts.
Well, when we weren't turning it over. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
How many 2-and-outs were there?
All of them.
I don't. I didn't have the count, enough. But there was a lot. Yeah. Well, we started the game on a bit of a roll because, I mean, CJ Gable had a few carries in that first drive.
It was great.
And we did actually get almost to midfield on the first drive.
But then we got to get rid of that run.
And Yeah, well, we should stop running it because, God, I hate a 10-yard average.
Yeah.
We should just stop running it, right? We're really getting into the what the now. So let's just go that way. I mean, obviously, at this point, the what the is everything else.
Yeah.
But what's the biggest thing that stood out for you, Kayla?
God, like. How do you pick one in this game? Seriously,
it's really hard.
I don't want to pick on anyone, but as the leader, like, I have to say Riley.
He was not in sync.
He was not. Oh my gosh! That is actually, I think, the worst game I've seen Mike Riley play
since 2013.
And it was, but even then, like I think it was the fourth play of the game. He had Batman wide open, like 5 yards away from the other guy, and overthrew him by 8 yards.
Yeah.
And did it again later in the game, too, overthrowing, I think that one was Duke. But the balls just were not being placed properly, and it's weird, because I never want to slag Riley, because I know we're lucky to have a great quarterback.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
This game, there is something not right with Mike Riley.
It was all my worst fears come to life in one game.
Although you might actually get to see Kevin Glenn on the field now. Who knows? We'll see if that happens. But I totally agree with you, Kayla. He didn't look like he was on his game.
Well, I remember, like, in training camp, even throughout the season, there's been a lot of overthrown balls. But this game was just like everything that you wish would not happen happened. Like, I don't get it. You're a professional quarterback. How do you make so many mistakes in one game? And, like, it's obviously some of the guys drop the balls too, but it's just, how do you overthrow that many balls? And oh my,
or throw them behind. That was the other thing that I was going to say, is they were like, the runner, they're finally doing the 5 or 6 yard pass, but the pass is behind the receiver so much that they can't reach back to get it.
It's just so many misthrown. Like, was he injured coming into this game? Like, what is it? The mental block?
But I don't know. It's just one of those games that, you know, we've seen many times, and especially when you've had the Mike games, where he'll just tell everyone to flush it, just got to flush it. But I just don't think he did. I think it was just all running through his head, and it was snowballing. It just, no matter what he did, it just wasn't going to happen. And eventually, you know, he's put this team on his back so many times, he just couldn't do it one more time. So, you know, he literally is going to have to flush this game from his memory if he hasn't already, and just, you know, we're going into the Lion's Den now, or the Rider Den, I guess.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Lion's Den is 2 weeks away. Yeah,
exactly. That's going to be embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. Superfan, you're what the for this one?
I got to tell you, watching Duke Williams get a pass, again, thrown not perfectly, so he had to really reach for it, come down and land hard on that shoulder, and watching him lying on the turf, it's just like, you have got to be kidding me. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's bad enough with Walker out, and now to have Duke Williams also out. I mean, we're talking the top 2 receivers at one point in the league, both injured. Moss was saying that Williams will be back this season, and possibly even this next game in Saskatchewan.
Which is
but
crazy.
I think that's very optimistic. Even if he is, he's just not going to be the same kind of guy, because he's going to have to watch out for that shoulder, because he does it one more time, and he could be out for more than just the season.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, injuries all the way around. That was not very good.
No,
not very good. And
Mondo went off clutching his back at one point.
Yeah, and then
of course, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and then of course Riley goes off.
Yes,
with whatever it was, 6 minutes left in the game. And they put O'Brien in, and it's...
He went 3 for 4. I mean, he had to pick.
He had to pick, though,
His only miss was a pick, so technically he completed all 4 of his passes. I mean, I'd like to find some positives here, so to me, that's a positive.
That's good positive. Way to go, Superfan.
No, I mean, O'Brien is someone that has not seen a whole lot of time.
No.
And certainly not a lot of reps in practice. I mean, the few reps that Riley doesn't get, Glenn was getting.
Yeah.
So it was good to see him get some time there. I wish they would have put him in a quarter earlier.
Yeah.
I understand why they didn't put in Glenn, and somebody, might have been you or maybe even Paul Reckner, said that on the broadcast they mentioned that the reason they're probably not going to Glenn is because if Riley's injured, do you really want to, in a game that it's done?
It doesn't matter.
Do you want to put in Glenn and possibly get him injured, and then you're really in trouble?
Right.
So
okay, that's what I thought happened.
Yeah, put in O'Brien and give him some time. You know what? That's what the whole point of having these guys for is give him a little bit of time in these games.
Yeah, and as you said to me, Zach Klein better start working on his green and gold dancer moves.
That's true.
He could be in there as the third guy. I think my biggest one in this one, and we've kind of touched on it, but the 5 turnovers. The 5 turnovers was huge, and we only got past the Bomber 45 once.
Yep.
Like, we're talking about a 30...
And that was points.
Exactly. We're talking about a 30-3 destruction. But Matt Nichols, who is the quarterback on the other team, had 5 fantasy points because he had a short field the entire game.
179 yards or so.
The entire game, he started on our side of the field. Like it was so. Honestly, it's just a piss poor effort. Like it just seemed like there was no fire. Like,
well,
where was the guys? Just where's the passion for what this meant? Like you gave away your locker room in this game, and that to me, I just like I don't understand it.
The only thing that gets to me is the reason that Nichols probably did so poorly is who did you take in fantasy for your quarterback?
Yeah, Matt Nichols.
See, there you go. Exactly. I mean, and the funniest part is 5 points wasn't the worst quarterback in fantasy this week.
No, it wasn't. But he got a dominating win.
Yeah,
that's so. Anyway, can
you take Zach Collaros next time, Andrew?
Yeah, I plan on doing that, actually.
Attaboy.
I think my entire team is Saskatchewan Roughriders for
Smart
this week.
man.
So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah,
Saskatchewan D, that's what I'm taking.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely. I got them all. All right, well, let's find something we'll talk a little bit more pleasant about. Let's do the Eskimo history moment.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on the beat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Welcome back to the Eskimos History Moment. This week, we're going to look back at the history of the most common and popular collectibles in sport, trading cards. Starting in the 19th century, with boxing and baseball cards being the most popular, Canadian football didn't see the first trading cards appear until the 1920s and 30s. And of course, our Eskimos didn't get cards produced until decades later, after the Second World War. Cards offered kids a chance to see their heroes up close, and in the years long before the internet, were often the only way you could read about your favorite players and know what their stats were from years before. The first cards to feature the Edmonton Eskimos were made by Crown brand corn syrups in 1952.
Ooh, corn syrup.
Who doesn't love a good corn syrup?
That's right.
These were 8x10 black and white photos of 12 different players per team for the 4 Western teams at the time, and kids would be able to send away for these prints by sending in a cone top or label from a tin of corn syrup and 10 cents for 2 pictures, or 2 labels and tops plus a quarter for 7 picks. But you didn't always get your first choice, of course, and when you did get your team player, it could be someone who didn't actually end up playing for the team after they get signed.
Helpful.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Oh, I got a Gail Pace picture.
Ooh.
Yeah. In 1954, you could get cards in blue ribbon products, such as boxes of tea, chocolate bars, baking powder, and more. These cards were colorized and taller than modern trading cards, but they were vibrant and kids could actually get them in products they purchased themselves with their allowance, or at least bug mom and dad to buy the other products they came in. In 1956, kids could finally buy packs of cards with those thin strips of gum when the Parkhurst Company developed the 56 Parkies set. 10 special sepia-tone cards that you had to rub with a special cloth to develop the cards and trade with your friends. This was the first nationally distributed trading cards with the Eskimos on them, and they were very popular with fans everywhere. 1956 also saw Shredded Wheat put out a set of trading cards with a whopping 15 cards per team, but it was nearly impossible to get a full set because nobody ate that much cereal.
Wait, they haven't met me.
They tried again in 1959 with Wheaties, but only had 6 Eskimos in the set, so at least people there had a chance. From 1958 to 65, the Topps Trading Card Company put out a set every year for the CFL with similar designs to their NFL counterparts. These cards featured colorized portraits of your favorite CFL stars, and each season saw 10 plus cards per team that you could collect and trade with your friends. And oh, that gum. Somehow the colorizer got the colors wrong, and Edmonton ended up in brown uniforms instead of green.
Well, that would be fitting this past weekend.
That's true.
But, yes, not good at that time, yeah.
Unfortunately, they also flipped Calgary and Saskatchewan colors, so imagine being a fan of either one of those teams and looking on in horror as you pulled your favorite player wearing the opposing team's color. 1965 was the last season for Topps, and it was a few quiet years before the Canadian O-Pee-Chee Company released a color photo set in 1968. That test run went so well, they did it again from 1970 to 72. The 1960s saw Eskimos inserting photo cards in programs. What a treat it was to cut them out and put them in your scrapbook. Programs with cards still attached command a premium, but even separated cards are hard to find because most kids stuck them in their books. This was also the decade when Nally's Chips, along with other manufacturers, would insert plastic coins into their chip bags, and Coke and Sprite sold bottle after bottle with CFL stars emblazoned on the caps. Post had cards on the back of their cereal boxes in 1962 and 63, which was the first set of cards to feature photos using color film, and they practically leapt off the boxes and sold more cereal to kids than ever. After O-Pee-Chee's final year in 1972, cards dried up except for the occasional appearance, like when Nally's tried to switch to cards in 1976. But it wasn't until 1981 when two Ottawa fans, John Bradley and Barry Goodman, decided to use the first two letters of John's first name and Barry's last to create the Jogo Trading Card Company. The first season saw black and white oversized cards featuring 50 players, and this saw the first cards featuring Warren Moon on them. In 1983, they put out a second set of CFL cards in standard sizes, but this time in color. The Warren Moon card from this set is one of the priciest CFL cards you can find these days, commanding upwards of $300 for a single copy. Jogo carried the standard for CFL cards every year from 1983 onward, putting out entire sets every year in complete form, so no more busting packs open, but also no more gum. So it was more about the collecting than the hunting-gathering of traditional card sets. In the 1980s, the Eskimos decided to go back into making their own cards when they created the Mammoth Sets for Training Camp from 1983 to 1986, sponsored by the Edmonton Journal, when every person who attended camp got their own card with room to sign for the fans. Each season saw 90 or more different cards produced, and for so many of these players, it was probably the only card they ever had produced. Jogo produced sets of current players up to 2013, when the CFLPA gave an exclusive 5-year license to the American Upper Deck Company, who have produced sets the past 5 years. Upper Deck went back to the card packs model, sadly no gum this time, and inserted special chase cards like autograph cards, special retro-themed cards that mimicked cards from the 60s, 70s, and little pieces of game-worn jerseys embedded onto the cards themselves. Now every collector could get a small piece of their favorite players for themselves. Because the Upper Deck contract was exclusive, Jogo could no longer produce cards with the current CFLPA members, so they shifted to producing alumni cards. Now, players who lived in the eras where they didn't get a card made could finally have their own trading cards, and of course the bigger names who already had cards could get an alumni card too. So where will the next crop of cards come from? Upper Deck's contract has expired, and even now companies are experimenting with online-only cards, exclusive cards that you open online and share in a web-based gallery. You can still trade them with your friends, but you can't hold them in your hands, which is part of what made collecting trading cards so much fun for decades now.
Yeah, no kidding.
But for those who appreciate the simpler times or are just old enough to want to reminisce, the trading card history is full of collectors and traders still looking for that elusive sliver of cardboard that can complete a set or place alongside that special gem in your collection. Just don't glue them into your scrapbooks.
Oh, no.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
That was awesome. Awesome, Superfan. Love talking about cards. Attaboy.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's I mean, I could talk about cards for hours because it's been around so long, but it's kind of nice to just spend a little time and see what kids would have been like back in the 50s, 60s, opening up these packs and pulling out cards of their heroes.
That's fantastic. And of course,
Serious question, Mike.
yes?
Yeah.
Sorry. Do you have a Fred Stamps card? I can't see it.
Many cards, yeah.
Okay. So we will make sure that you have one to look at when you come back.
That's right.
That'd be perfect.
Thank you.
We can easily do that. And the other thing is, I just want to mention, if you haven't already, Mike showed some of his cards in the Periscope. So check us out on Periscope, and I will put that on the Facebook page as well. And you can see some of the cards in Mike's collection, which is amazing to look at, and just kind of get a little history there as well. So let's take a really quick break, and we will come back with our CFPN game preview, our pick'ems, and of course our fantasy picks for this week.
Hey, this is Jed Roberts, and you're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
The Eskimo Empire Podcast is brought to you by United Construction Company. As a full-service commercial general contractor, United Construction Company serves large and small-scale commercial, light industrial, and multifamily residential construction projects across Western Canada. UCC is a relationship-focused builder, forming a trust and respect that is at the forefront of their commitment to quality, value, and integrity. Visit their website at unitedconstruction.ca to find out more and support them as they support the Empire.
Get loud for me. Get loud for me. Get loud for me. Hands in the crowd, we tearing it down.
You can join the Empire online.
Find us at eskempire.ca.
Check out all the new blogs and then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
For more history, follow at Esks History on Twitter.
And even more of my pics on Esk Empire Photo.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to help the pod grow. Thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back, and as you heard in the plugs, that was our one and only Jed Roberts, who, of course, just got married this past Friday. So congratulations to Jed and Christine.
Absolutely.
Fantastic couple. Loved the pictures. And
just amazing on the train.
Oh, so awesome.
Yes, that was gorgeous.
And congrats to our buddy Jed, and hopefully we'll get him back in here to chat some more football with us before too long, because we love that part too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's Pick'em's time. Again, leader after this week is still Steve-O, but Travis Currah is gaining ground, and we are going to hear from him very shortly as well. Now, I'm down to 39th because this week I decided to tell everybody what I was going to pick and then not pick them in the app.
Oh, good strategy. I like that.
Well, I'm sure you liked it because you're 31st, so you're ahead of me for the first time in the season.
That's right.
You're like the riders. You're pulling up and taking the lead.
It's a rope-a-dope.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Something dope.
Something dope.
Kayla's not the only one that can say the word dope.
If we're talking about wouldn't that be the guy who didn't put the picks in? That would be the dope.
I was thinking October 17th, but whatever.
Okay, that's great. Okay. Let's go to our first game this week. Friday Night Football, Winnipeg versus Ottawa. It's in the nation's capital. Kayla, who do you have in this game?
Oh my God, I want to say Winnipeg just so they'll lose.
Take one for the team.
So that's what I'll do. It doesn't even matter because I haven't been voting on my pick'em, so I'm probably like all the way swirly down on the list.
You might be one
Who
behind
knows
Andrew.
where I am?
Yeah, I'm going to be right behind me. Yeah, exactly.
So I'll go with Winnipeg in hopes that they'll lose.
All right, fair enough. Super fan.
Well, apparently, since now I'm ahead of you, I really got to try. So, honestly, I think that Winnipeg played, their defense played outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, did they, or just we played that poorly? Maybe a bit of column A,
I think
a
it's
bit
a
of column
combination
B.
of both. Yeah, but they put a lot of pressure on Riley.
They scored 30 points, but 7 of those were on defense. They had some field goals. I don't think they were as good as the score seemed to indicate. Ottawa's really fighting for that first spot. Hamilton's hot on their tail. So I think Ottawa's going to be pulling out all the stops. It is at home, so I'm going to go in with the Red Blacks.
All right. And I am going along with my new theory and pick'em, which is absolutely the worst thing that could happen for me is the way the game is going to go. So Winnipeg is what I'm picking this week.
There we go.
It's just the way it works at this point. Saturday, we have a game in BC. The Argonauts are in town to face the Lions. Superfan, you are up first on this one.
Ooh, we said earlier that the 5 points that Matt Nichols got was not the worst quarterback this week. Brazilian Ty will be the first to tell you that it was Jonathan Jennings who had 0.3 points.
Oh, my.
It was an absolute debacle for him. It was just absolutely terrible.
But at least he was cheap.
He was
in comparison.
He was cheap.
I mean, really, how many points did Riley get?
Yes, but
11?
He took Nichols.
Yeah, well, I did.
Yes.
Which was fairly expensive for my 5 points.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You would have to be about 40 points,
That's
$40
true.
to get 0.3
Yeah,
points.
that's true.
It's going to be a tough one to call. I'm not sure if McLeod Bethel Thompson's even going to be the starter at this point. Maybe we'll see.
Franklin.
Might be Franklin. So, you know what? I'm so back and forth in these Argos because I pick them, they don't win. I don't pick them, they don't win. I'm seeing a trend. But you know what? If Franklin comes in and BC's been doing so poorly, they are going to be at home though. So whatever. I'll pick BC.
All right. Yeah, that's good. I following the theory, I would pick BC to win this game, but I'm going to say it right now. If they do announce Franklin as the starter, I'm switching to Toronto. I'm going to get behind my boy. That's how that works. All right. Kayla, who you got in this one?
Well, I'd just like to point out that, when you said Matt Nichols got 5 points.
Yes.
And that game, he's Nichols. Hi, nickel, 5 cents, 5 points.
Oh, nice.
So he got as many points as his name. That's right.
Yeah, he's worth his nickels.
Double nickels on the dime.
Oh, nice. Well done. Pun points for Kayla. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. I too will go with BC because if Toronto and Montreal keep losing, we'll have a chance at the crossover.
That's very true.
Oh, it's going to be pretty tough. Yeah. They've had 5 consecutive losses. They have 3 wins on the season with how many games left?
Yeah, 5?
Yeah.
So at this point, they'd have to win out and we have to lose out. So
yeah. Which isn't out of the realm of possibility. So,
well, one of those things isn't out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Toronto winning out.
No, not very likely. Yeah. All right. Now Monday is Thanksgiving Day, and we have a double header of CFL football, starting with Calgary versus Montreal, and it is in Montreal. I get to pick this one. Now, I went back and looked, and the past 4 years, Calgary has lost in Montreal. So I'm picking Montreal to find a way to win this game because they just seem to win in Montreal, and Calgary obviously goes out, parties the night before, comes in too cocky and loses. So I'm going to hope that happens again, and I'm going to pick Montreal. Kayla.
I am absolutely 100% on board the Montreal train. Not because they're losing, but because I will not pick the Stampeders.
All right, fair enough. Super fan.
You know, if Saskatchewan had lost that game to Toronto, I would say that Calgary doesn't care anymore because they're 3 games up on the Riders at that point. Now they're only 2 games up. So they're still going to try, right? Yeah. Because they definitely want to have that first round bye. Oh, I wish I could, but I'm going to go with Calgary. That way I'm happy either way.
All right. That's fair. That's not a bad choice. All right. And, of course, the final game, it is our Eskimos versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders at Mosaic Stadium. The Uncle BD Stats Minute this week, the Esks are 2-2 versus Saskatchewan on Thanksgiving Monday games. And in those games, they have a total points scored of 103 in 4 games. So I'm pretty sure we'd be happy if we could even maintain that average of getting 25. I'd be all right with that. Our offense could put 25 on the board right now.
Well, against that defense, it'd be amazing considering that Oros has how many times has he put up 25 points in the game?
Yeah, once.
Yeah.
Before we get to our side of the ball, let's go to our CFPN game preview, and we bring in, as I mentioned before, but I do believe this is for the first time, our good friend from the 2 and Out podcast, Mr. Travis Currah. How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? This can't be the first time.
I think it's the first time that you've been on ours, and I know I've been on yours lots, and we've had Ty on and stuff. It might be the second. I'm going to have to go back and look, but I thought this was the first time. But
that blows my mind.
It's about bloody time. Jeez, what the hell?
Absolutely.
That's right. See, now you just
get points. Am I doing this right? Absolutely.
That's right. Extra points for you. Well done.
Perfect.
So interesting weekend for you because you're a season ticket holder for both the Riders and the Eskimos, and I know you were up to the game on Saturday, and you had to freeze through that and watch. Well, I don't know if you want to call that a game, but you had to sit and watch that, kind of actually working in your favor because you wanted them to help Saskatchewan. So what was your kind of your early take on the game there?
Well, it worked in my favor as a Rider fan. It did not work in my favor as a married man with my wife cheering for the Eskimos. It was a long drive home. I will say the fireworks after the game, hey, they were a nice little display, but I couldn't tell if that was Mike Riley or Zach Collaros on the field. I think somehow they switched bodies or something because let me tell you this, in week 16, if you would have told me that the Rough Riders put up 502 net offense and the Eskimos put up like 260, I would have called you crazy.
Well, I think that's exactly. I think that's actually really. I think this is the second year in a row too that the Eskimos have been nice enough to have a fireworks display after they totally lay an egg on the field and give the other team a chance to get to the playoffs. We're very generous that way. That's what we like to do. Let's talk about this game that's coming up Thanksgiving Monday. Now, interestingly enough, are you headed out to that game, or are you going to be sitting eating turkey watching the game, or what's your plan?
I will be at Mosaic Stadium for that game. It's kind of become a tradition for my wife and I. We make the trip out to Regina as our two teams are playing. So I'll probably be having a few pierogies and kubasas at new Mosaic Stadium because they're so good.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, let's talk about the Riders. I mean, obviously they're on a huge winning streak. They've really turned it around. We're seeing a lot more. Obviously, I mean, that defense has carried them for quite a bit, and now the offense is starting to put points on the board, as you said, getting over 500 net yards. It's just nuts. What do you think has been the major turnaround, or what do you think has actually contributed to that kind of coming around in the last couple of games?
I really think that the offensive line has been playing well because at the beginning of the season, it was kind of it was not looking good for any Rough Rider quarterback. No matter who was going to be playing back there, they were going to be on their keister more often than not. And they showed a stat during the game that the Riders have allowed the least sacks in the CFL. They've only allowed 15 to this point in the season. So they've really kind of turned it on a little bit. They're mixing it up with their running backs. And, I mean, Zach Collaros is doing what he needs to do. He makes the plays when he has to make them. He's not the flashiest guy at this point, but we saw it in the Montreal game. He makes the plays on second down, which is really big. I think there was at one point in one drive, they had 6 second down conversions in a row. So they just seem to be making the plays that they need to make. And you know what's really helping as well? That kicker, Brett Lowther. He is... he might actually be the team's MOP at this point.
Yeah, he's definitely lights out. Yeah, him and Ward there in Ottawa. It's like a kicking competition to see. You can anything you can do, I can do better. It's crazy.
Absolutely,
it's kind of fun. Do you think that actually them going to that steady running back, basically with Trey Mason, is helping? Because I found early in the season when they were kind of rotating their backs that it really had an effect on the offense. But now that they've kind of gone to one guy, I think it's actually helped a lot.
I really do too. And I don't know if maybe they didn't trust his knowledge of the CFL game at that point, because I feel like he's improved himself as the season has gone on and gone. He seems to be getting better every game. And that Montreal game, And I mean, their rush defense is, I mean, it's not bad. Enoch Mwamba's in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great linebacker, and Mason had his best game. He's hitting the hole with a lot of explosiveness. He's full speed by the time he gets to the line, and he seems like he's really figured out that Canadian game, and I really like that. And when they do put Thigpen out there, he can make things happen. Everybody knows how fast Marcus Thigpen can be. So if he's out there having his 80-yard touchdown runs every 2 or 3 games, I think that works for the Rough Riders.
Absolutely. I would ask you what you think the defense needs to do to slow down the Eskimo, but I don't think that's worth asking at this particular moment because we already know that they just have to show up and that'll be fine. But what do you think is kind of obviously the defensive line, I think, is the key to the defense with in the Riders. But tell us a bit about that secondary because lately they've given up the odd pass, but they're really starting to become even that more shutdown secondary, I think.
This is another thing because early in the season, when this almost seems like it's about 2 years ago, Deron Carter's playing back there. The Rider receiving core was hurting. The offense was hurting. And it seemed like there was no depth in the secondary, so that's why Deron Carter was playing defense. But now, all of a sudden, it kind of seems like there is a little bit of depth in the Rough Rider secondary. And a big part of that is Nick Marshall. It's his first season, and he is playing some great, great football. I mean, it doesn't hurt that they put him in the short yardage packages on the goal lines, and he seems to be getting a rushing touchdown every game on top of his shutdown abilities on defense. But, I mean, Ed Gainey, he's steady back there. Javon Johnson, another veteran. And then they bring in Matt Elam as well, who's come into his own, and they just brought him in this season. And then Chris Jones, he likes his athletes. He likes guys that can play all over the place, and I think a big part of that is Samuel Aguavin, the linebacker that can really do it all. And then you have a guy like Toby Antigua, who's listed as a defensive lineman, but he plays free safety once in a while. It's really wild what they're able to do, and I do find, though, if the Rough Rider defense is not able to get pressure, then you can get yards on them. So if the Eskimos are able to limit that pressure, I think Riley could do okay on Monday.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Well, I know at this point we don't even know if it's going to be Riley. He kind of looked like he got smoked pretty good at the end of the game. So,
you think
we'll have to
bad?
see. I just more meant that I think he's playing hurt. Like I was saying that earlier in the show that I'm not really sure that he's 100% right now. Because it just didn't look like him at all, and then I know he really got hit hard at the end of the game there. So we'll have to see how that goes for sure, which is a little bit scary for us, but that's the way things go. Let's just for fun, because I mean your podcast really focuses on fantasy and all those types of things. Do you have a couple of riders that you'd be looking at picking in this week's game? I know it's super early, but is there somebody you'd pick?
You know what? I'm really starting to really like that Kyron Moore for the Rough Riders. He had 129 yards against Montreal. He's only on about his 4th or 5th game, and he seems like he has Zach Collaros' trust. He's returning punts as well. He's broken one earlier in the season. I really like him, and I actually am really liking Shaq Evans. So there's a couple guys that aren't going to cost your team all that much. Shaq Evans, and I said it on my show this week, he kind of makes every catch a bit of an adventure. Yeah. He's got to bobble it, he's got to once or twice or almost drop it, but if he can close the hands on the ball, he's going to be a great receiver, and Zach Collaros seems to like throwing to him.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man, for those hints, because that'll be helpful as we go into this week, because I'll be picking lots of riders, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you again for coming on. Plug your podcast and all that so everybody knows where to find you and all your great stuff.
Awesome. It's the 2 and Out CFL podcast. We actually lost our minds this year, and we went twice weekly. So
yes, you did. Yeah.
Monday morning and Thursday morning. I got to say, man, I'm ready for a break after Grey Cup. So you can follow that on Twitter at 2andoutcfl, or follow myself at Travis_Currah, Currah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. I'm going to say good luck, but this week you don't need it. And don't worry, we'll still be friends afterwards.
Awesome, buddy. That's all I needed to know.
All right. We always love being joined by Travis. That laugh just gets me going every time.
Infectious.
God, I could just spend all day with him just to have some chuckles. It's fantastic. And so nice we finally got him on, because I mean, we've had Ty on, and and I know I had Fraser on in the first year, but I don't think we ever actually had Currah on here. I've been on his show tons and never had him here. So
you were practically the co-host.
Bloody time I got him on here. Exactly. Yeah, this is another about damn time category.
Right.
So now let's talk about our side. I'm going to word this just a little bit different. Kayla, how do we not lose this game?
For the offense to actually show up.
What?
Right? Like, if that wasn't obvious enough. But
offense would be nice.
Like I said, like, the defense was a shining light. They did do their part. There's some flaws, like there's always going to be, but I believe that they are getting better and better as time goes on. Special teams, I'm hoping with the firing of McDermott, there's going to be a little bit of change, and it's not going to remain stagnant and the same. And like Mike said, blocking. Anyone heard of that word? Blocking, tackling? No? Anyone?
If not, I hope they learn it.
Exactly. I totally agree with those points. Superfan, got anything to add on there?
Oh, what can they do to not lose? A time machine would be great. I already said that before.
You did say that?
Just, put out a little milk carton with the Eskimos offense. Have you seen any? I honestly think that this game is possibly there for the taking. I know we talked with the guys on Piffles, and it was just like, here's your Thanksgiving turkey right here. But I think it is possible. It's hard to go against Mike Riley. He had a bad game. I don't think he's had too many back-to-back horrible games like that. My biggest issue right now is, I counted it up, in the last 5 games combined, they have scored 3 total points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely atrocious. And before, the last time they scored more than 0 outside of that game where we scored 3 on Labor Day was the Montreal game where we scored 10. If we could get to the point where we can score in that fourth quarter and at least make a second half of it, because our second half has been atrocious. Yeah. I think our defense is better than their offense.
Yes.
Their offense I just don't believe in. I don't believe Collaros has done a whole lot. Trey Mason isn't been doing a whole lot because I've been taking him in fantasy.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome. I take one for the team. So it's going to be our defense or our offense versus their defense. So if our offense can actually start scoring and not turn the ball over, I think we've got a shot to win it.
All right. That's fair. That you took the last point that you just said was mine. Don't turn the ball over. If we could actually hang on to the ball or catch the ball. How about we don't have some push-ups? Like, that would be nice, because there's at least 3
can't make them all defensive backs
in this last one. I think that is going to be huge, and I agree with you, Kayla. I'm hoping that we can actually find a way to open some lanes for Martese Jackson, and let's actually start outside of the shadows of our goalposts. I think that's really what we need to do to have a better chance to win this game. Is there a player in particular you're going to keep your eye on, Kayla?
Martese Jackson.
Okay.
Watching him this last game, like, you can see the speed and the agility, but you can only have so much talent, and no one else around you has that same talent, or even a little minuscule of that talent, without you succeeding. It's a team game, and you need that help. And no returner has gotten that help.
Very true.
In my opinion.
Very true. Yeah, I would agree. So see if he can break one out himself.
Please do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Superfan?
Well, with the, of course, injury to Darrell Walker and the possible injury to Duke Williams, I'm going to be looking at a guy that started out great and hasn't been heard from a lot lately, and that's co-host Kenny Stafford.
Yes.
I think he can be a much bigger role in this offense, even if he is going to be that sort of field wideout. It takes a little while for that ball to get to him, but he's got some speed still. And if we could get him involved, so it's not just Hazelton and Batman, though we do love to see some Batman. I don't know if you've heard of him, Kayla.
Who?
I don't know. He's a new guy. But I'd love to see, we've got these weapons. Let's use them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, and we're seeing a little bit of a pattern here as we all go on one side of the ball. But I'm going to be having a look and watching O'Donnell and Kelly on the other side. I think they have one of the biggest challenges in this game with Hughes and Jefferson coming at them and trying to keep whoever it is that is playing quarterback upright. It's going to be a huge challenge for them, and they're going to have to play a really big role in giving this offense even a chance to get anything on the board. So I think a lot of this lies on them to not get those penalties and to actually stand up and block.
I'd love to see them get a little nasty too.
Absolutely.
Keep it within the rules, but don't be afraid to punch them square in the chest.
Like, just get them and let's open some holes and get CJ going. For crying out loud. The guy can get 10 yards at a time. Just keep handing him the ball.
Nothing worse than watching how great John White played in that last game.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's like, just give him the ball. It's not hard. Who are we picking in this one, Kayla? Edmonton or Saskatchewan?
Because I made a vow at the beginning of the season I won't pick against the Eskimos. I'll pick the Eskimos.
All right. That was nice of you. Superfan?
I try.
I do think that this could be a close game. We do tend to, other than this last game, we do tend to try to play close to the level of our competitor.
Agreed.
You saw it on Labor Day. It was another close game. Labor Day rematch, a close game. Even when we're losing these games, we're close, again, outside of this last game.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a close one. But I think much like I did with the Calgary pick, I am going to pick the Riders to take this one in a maybe call it a 4-point game. And if I'm wrong, hey, that's great.
Hey, exactly.
Yay.
And if I'm right, I'm still ahead of you.
Yeah, that's very true. I am going with the Riders because right now, the way the Eskimos have not really shown me that they even have a desire to play the game. I don't know that's
prove him wrong.
Changing, and I want them. Listen, if any of you guys are listening to the pod, because I know they all listen every week.
Why wouldn't
if they're actually listening, please put this on your bulletin board. Andrew from the Eskimo Empire podcast picked the Riders to win because you guys have not shown up to a game. Let's do that. Show me up. Do it in the fourth quarter. But yeah,
I can't wait for your next interview.
God, yeah, aren't they going to be so happy? Anyway, let's. I'm going to go with the Riders. Now let's talk a little bit of fantasy points, fantasy football. We've talked a little bit about it as we've gone through this show. The leader is still Matt Pretty, but Archley is only 8 points behind now, so he's making a move. I'm up to 11th. You're in 22nd right now, so we're getting closer as well.
Getting closer.
Any fantasy picks that you got for this week?
Well, I did recommend Jonathan Jennings last week, and that worked out really well.
Really well.
So I'm going to say, at this point, take the Saskatchewan D, and maybe we'll all have that same kind of whammy.
Maybe, yeah, it's always a possibility. I'm going to pull up my fantasy roster at this particular moment, only because I did set one already this week, and I do think that you'll understand why I need to bring this up at this moment. Give me 2 seconds here because this thing is slow. But I decided that, you know what? I'm going to back up exactly what I said.
Please do.
I have Zach Collaros.
Nice.
Trey Mason.
Well done.
Don Jackson. Mark and Michelle. Kyron Moore. Williams Lambert. And the Saskatchewan defense.
Well done.
I think if you actually don't pick Trey Mason in this game, I mean, I know he hasn't seemed like he's lighting the world on fire, but
me, he
against on a our run defense. I'd pick him up, and I might actually switch out for another Saskatchewan receiver because I've got Moore and I got Lambert. Maybe I should throw Thigpen in there too.
Let's take Thigpen over Jackson.
Yeah, and then I can fill them all in. That's right. Just trying the full whammy.
Bingo card.
That's right. I'm not winning fantasy anyway. Let's put that in there. Well, thank you, Kayla, for getting up so early to chat football with us and come back on the show. We miss you desperately, of course, and we know that you'll be back in a few weeks, and we'll have so many more adventures to tell everybody about. But tell everybody again where they find you and your football tweets when you can in the middle of the night over there.
Yeah, I know it's been so weird. I'm like, man, no one likes me anymore because I'm not talking football. But then I'm like, yeah, you're also like 9 hours ahead.
That's right. Let us wake up first. Then we will like your tweets. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can find me at Duchess Lombardi.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Superfan.
You can find me again at Angry Esks Fans. No. You can find me at 56 Parkies.
You really do need to change it.
I should.
That. Yeah. I'm going to change it to Disappointed Fan, just for fun. Yeah. Disappointed parent of the Eskimos.
Oh, boy.
It's but you can find me at Freepalicious, of course, the show at Esk Empire Pod. Thank you so much again to Travis from the 2 and Out podcast for joining us, and follow them at 2 and Out. Or is TFL 2 and Out? 2 and Out CFL? 2 and Out CFL, I think that's what it is.
Yes.
Thank you again to our sponsor, United Construction Company. Check out their website at unitedconstruction.ca. You down with UCC?
Yeah, you know me.
Perfect. There we go. Even over the Skypes, we're getting it. That's fantastic. Check out our website, like I already said, eskempire.ca. All of our social channels are there. And we'll be back next week with a brand new featured fan. And that's going to be less than 24 hours after the next game. So it's going to be a little raw. I will say that. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully in a positive way. Right?
Maybe some turkey.
Okay, we can do that. I only have one question tonight. Are we ready to see an actual 60-minute effort from the Eskimos?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. For Commissioner Kayla and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.